Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to talk about translation difficulties and peculiarities with specific reference to legal language. With this paper, I have summarized with a short historical excursus the development of translation and its meaning over the years. Then I focused on the legal field. I also explained the origins, the peculiarities, and the difficulties of translation. Then, with Professor Cook-Gerard, I spoke about the issue of untranslatability, and the professor kindly accepted an interview. Just at the time of the Assyrians and the Babylonians, a lot of Sumerian poems were translated into Akkadian. In Egypt, the chief interpreter was a figure of high rank and was hereditary. Making a temporary leap on the ancient Rome, the first theoretical problems were posed, and Cicero translated Greek philosophical terms into Latin. Cicero said that the translation was an important practice in overcoming the linguistic and cultural division between the Greek and the Roman world. At the question if it's better a literary translation or a free one, he said that we have to behave as a writer rather than a translator. And so he used terms suited to Latin habits but without changing their essential meaning. The holy texts translated by Saint Jerome were contested because too free, but he answered that the importance was the meaning of the sentence to be translated, and not to translate literally. It was important to pass the right feeling of the text, and not a literary translation. And it is the most shared thought also nowadays. In the Renaissance, Martin Luther, the father of the Evangelical Revolution, was condemned by the Church because of his translation. It was too free. He translated the Bible from the Aramaic to the German. His thought was the same of Saint Jerome and Cicero. The important was to translate the right feeling of the text. The untranslatability. We have words that we cannot translate. For example, the two German words Temporrausch and Wanderlust. These words are not present in the target language, and therefore we can translate them only with a sentence. Temporrausch we can translate with the sentence the happiness and the desire to go fast with motorcycle, and Wanderlust with the sentence the happiness and the desire to go around the world and travel. So we can translate these two words only with two sentences. And so, how can we translate terms not existing in the target language? This question was answered by Professor Cook-Gerard. According to the professor, it is always better to find a translation by explaining the word or using a similar word, or in the case of Wanderlust and Temporrausch, using a sentence, and if we do not find a good translation, we can leave the word in the mother language. But we must be careful not to leaving too many untranslated words, or reading the text will be too heavy. An example is the term act of quotation. In German, we have two different words, Klageschrift and Ladeschrift. The first is the question, and is between the private individual and the lawyer. The second is the real act, and is concluded between the two lawyers. And so, when we have to translate the term into German, we have to understand to which of the words it refers. We have seen that most of the words that we cannot translate are found in legal texts or even in medical texts. We can say in those that belong to the diastratic varieties of languages that have as effect of differentiation social characteristics such as work or social status. They are used in fact in specific sectors. Edward Sapir, the first that studied the relationship between language and anthropology, said that language is a guide to the social reality and human beings are influenced by it, thus becoming society's mean of expression. This means that language represents the thought of man. There could not exist two different languages so similar to express exactly the same social reality. And this is the key to understanding why it is impossible to translate a text completely faithful to the origin text. Every society is different. The habits and the figure of speech are not the same. Another example is the word Zweisamkeit, that we can translate with couples loneliness or doubled loneliness. The writer Robert Musil used it to describe those couples who isolate themselves from friends and relatives to live in solitude, but who do not realize it because they feel complete in two. Or the English expression "that's the way the cookie crumbles", that we can translate in Italian with "è così che il biscotto si sbriciola", but a literary translation will not make sense. And therefore we have to know the way of speaking in the target language. For example, in Italian, "così va la vita", or "non si può avere tutto dalla vita", or the French expression, which is widely used in Italy, "c'est la vie". Thank you.